Olive oil is overrated. That's right, you heard that right. Macadamia nut oil is where it's at now. Macadamia nut oil has more monounsaturated, heart-healthy fats than olive oil. It has a high smoke point, 420 degrees, which means you can cook with it. It's also perfectly balanced in omega-3 to omega-6 fats, 1-to-1 ratio, and it doesn't go bad when it's exposed to light or oxygen. When you're looking to add a flavor-enhancing oil, or you're looking to cook with something that actually tastes good and is good for you, look no further than macadamia nut oil. So ditch that olive oil and pick up a bottle of Species Nutrition's macadamia nut oil. High smoke point. You can cook with it. It tastes great and it's great for your heart.
You're funny.
Like I said, do you like my tail?
Like I said.
And we are back for another exciting episode of Iron Rage. And today, Lee Priest and I are joined with a special guest, Brandon Harding, who is a new IFBB Pro in Classic Physique all the way from the UK. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you guys. I really appreciate it.
25 years old, Lee.
How old?
He's 25. Does he remind you of yourself, you know?
Oh, yes, 25. To be 25 again.
Maybe not. I imagine when
that was only 25 years ago. Just think, he wasn't even born. They've been standing on the Olympia stage for 5 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, I imagine when Lee was a lot younger than me, he was a lot bigger than me. So
yeah.
You're probably taller, so you'll always have him.
He's 6'1". Really?
Oh yeah, he's an inch taller than me. He got me.
Yeah, just about an inch.
Now, Brandon, a lot of people had reached out to me after you turned pro and said you got to get Brandon on, and I didn't even realize you turned pro, and so I went and looked up to see your Instagram, and the pictures are phenomenal. You look really great. I know you had he had 5 shows planned out, Lee, that he was getting his pro card this year no matter what. He was going all over the world if he had to do it, and which is pretty cool. At 25 to have that kind of determination and belief in the fact that you can do it. But you started from as an internet guy. You were like that internet guy that people just thought was an internet bodybuilder and that would never be, an IFBB Pro. And you kind of proved everyone wrong. That you proved people wrong in the sense that you said, hey, I could be a guy who has a job as a YouTuber or as an Instagram person, and I can still be a great bodybuilder. And I think you're the first person to kind of bridge that gap.
I think there's a common misconception when you come from YouTube, social media, you start off in that way, because typically the way it works is you build the physique, you become a pro, you work your way up the ranks, and then the followers come. But with me, it was the other way around. It was like I built the audience based on sharing my journey, giving fitness tips, and just starting my YouTube channel when I was 18 years old. But it was always, people saw me taking that more seriously. And in my mind, in the beginning, fitness was always 50% of the YouTube thing as well. It was always 50-50. But over the years, especially over the last 2 years, bodybuilding has taken so much more of a front seat for me, and almost trying to breach the gap and believe in my own potential. And for the past 2 years, I've really got more into competing. And the last off season that I had was the best one. So I was it's now time. I attempted to get my pro card last year for the first time, and I did a regional, and I come second in my class. I wasn't ready yet. I didn't have the tissue. It was very obvious between me and my coach, Callum, who owns a company called Pro Coach in the UK, that I needed a good off season. So we went away for the last year and then came back and planned on absolutely rinsing every single pro qualifier around the world. We were going to go to Italy, France, compete in the Arnold Classic UK. But luckily, when we regionally qualified, we got it on the first run in Austria. So I was very grateful, very grateful.
He won the NPC Austrian Oak contest. What a great name of a contest.
Oh, that's a good name, but it's also good to hear that he was prepared to do all these shows, because I get so disheartened now when they see these younger guys who have the potential. Even nothing against Nick Walker, but look at he's young and he's like only doing one show a year. I remember when I was young and all the other bodybuilders were young. If you got it and while you're young and your body's still healthy and that, hit as many shows as you can. Right. But now it's like people just do one show at 24, 25. They're like, I'm going to sit out a year or two, and they just let all this time go by when they could have been winning shows and just building their career up more and more. They just go, one show's enough. I'm like, I don't get it. When you're young, you should be like banging all the shows out you can, as long as you're healthy and you're not even physically, but mentally too. When you start doing so many shows, if you don't have it up here mentally, that's the hardest part. But if you're young and you've got that fire, I say do as many as you can.
No, and I appreciate you saying that as well, because it actually rolls onto the plan now because we got the pro card in the first pro qualifier. The goal now is to put my foot in the door and to do my first ever pro show. Whether I don't know what the result's going to be, but there's the Yamamoto in France in 3 weeks, and we're going to be stepping on that stage and just seeing what we can do. And then after that show, we'll begin the off season and really put the work in.
And that's smart too, because you just got your pro card, you still got that fire, and while the fires burn, and do that first pro show. And like you said, you don't know what you're going to do. You could win it, you could place high, but you know, it still gets that name out there and gets that ball moving. Because I've seen so many people do what he's done and get the pro card, then they go, "That's it, I'm taking a year off now." It's like, why? If there's a pro show coming up, just jump in that thing and just do it.
You know what the amazing thing is? You were 202 on stage when you won your pro card. I think you told me your weight class cap is 230, right? As a pro?
230, yes.
You could gain 28, 30 pounds, almost 30 pounds of muscle still and still be a classic guy.
The way the off season is going to be navigated is with absolutely no ceiling. We're really going to be pushing it. We're going to have the first proper
elite pre-off season.
Yeah, I'm going to be eating a lot of food.
Let me ask you this question. When you first started on YouTube and Instagram at 18, which was 7 years ago, which it seems like a lifetime ago, what kind of videos were you doing at 18? Were you doing like goofy stuff, or were you doing like instructional stuff?
It was instructional. It was like me making videos in my mom's kitchen. Like, here's a full day of eating. Here's the macros that I'm currently trying to eat as a skinny 18-year-old trying to build muscle. And it was more so,
what did you weigh back then?
I started the gym at 69 kilograms. I don't know what that is in pound, but now I'm like over 100.
Like 150, around 149 pounds. Is it 150 pounds?
Yeah. So essentially,
148.
I was pretty lean when I started now, and now I'm 100 kilos, well, just below now stage weight. It's it's been 30 kilograms of, I guess, muscle growth in the last 7 years. And it does take 7 years. It takes a long time to build any muscle.
You've put it on in the right places too. It's not like it looks good on you. You're well balanced, upper and lower. I mean, you did a good job with it.
That means a lot. Thank you.
What do you think?
He used to do videos saying back in the day that Lee Priest says he only takes 300 milligrams of testosterone. Bullshit. He's a fucking liar.
How did your gear usage progress over the years? Obviously, you weren't doing it when you were 18, right?
No, of course. So what happened was my first ever show, it happened in the craziest way. It happened in the most blunt way too. And Lee, you can probably imagine what it was like in the UK with some of these coaches. I was 19 and a half, and I went to this coach and I was like, I want to do a show. And he said, okay, are you natural? I said, yes, I've been naturally bodybuilding for 3.5 years. He said, if you do it naturally, you will lose. And I was like, oh, fuck. All right, fair enough. So we did a cycle of literally just testosterone, Anavar, and Clen for the first run. It was like something proper basic. We didn't go above like 450 test.
Liar. He's lying, Lee. Liar.
I'm lying.
Anything under a gram, you're lying. You can't look like that.
Well, it was the first one, and we did that, and then I took a year off and did a few more amateur shows. It wasn't in IFBB; it was actually in PCA, which is that UK.
That's pretty big in the UK still. PCA,
it is. It massively is, and they're building their name in the UK, which is fantastic. But of course, with wanting to take bodybuilding seriously, IFBB is the way to go. So I did 5 shows, amateur shows in PCA, and I stopped doing those when I was 22 years old. And obviously, every single prep, we used a little bit more anabolics here and there, like the gear usage. We started to experiment with different things on the off season. I remember before I started the prep. I did a cycle of nandrolone, and I didn't like it that much because I got a bit of gyno. Stopped taking it. It went away. But I've never really pushed the boat too far. It's never really been something like, for example, this stack for this show currently running, because I'm obviously still on prep now for the next 3 weeks.
Sure.
My like base anabolics are 400 test, 600 primo, 600 mast, and then obviously we're doing like some winstrol, some anavarsim in there. But those are the core compounds that we're taking. We've obviously pulled out GH and stuff right now because we don't need it. But we've not gone. We experimented with like 150 milligrams of tren for a week, and my body responded terribly. My mental health went through the roof. It was terrible.
Yeah, tren is not good for mental health. I could definitely validate that. If you're not mentally stable, don't use trenbolone. Yeah.
And it's funny though, because Saudi
Lee ties his penis to a coffee table when he takes trenbolone.
that was the special white powder, Dave. But that's the funny thing though. It's like when I see young kids who are like getting into whether it be the physique classes or the classic classes and that's the main thing they will say, tren. And I used tren 3 to 4 times my whole career. I hated it just the way I felt, even the way like I put it in, I get that tren cough and tightness. But now that's all, every board you go on or young kids talking about stuff, it's like tren is this magic fucking drug. And I'm like, why are they so fixated on it is beyond me. It's crazy.
It's genuinely not. And if anything, like the mental turmoil you can put yourself in, it's actually anti-productive on a prep, because if you need to be mentally, have like full mental clarity and focus on a prep, why would you take something that would take away from that?
Or a lot of guys can't sleep on it either. If you can't sleep, you can't recover either, you know.
And that's like I was saying before, when you get ready for shows, as you've known, like now, it's like when you get ready for a show physically, you can get through the training and the cardio is hard and that. But I've always said, if you don't have it here 100% through that whole process, you're not going to be at your best. And the mental aspect of preparing for a show and training and that, I always find much greater than the physical side, nearly all the time.
Yeah, definitely. I think the mental clarity and the way you can grow mentally on a prep, like the boundaries you can push yourself past, it's actually enjoyable when you see yourself expand your mind on a prep rather than it deteriorate through the use of like anabolics that make you literally insane. So it's better without, and we've yielded the result that we have without it, because we did it for the week and it wasn't good. So we took it out 4 weeks out. But yeah, we've not pushed the boat out, but I do know that on this off season, for the first time, we probably will push the anabolic boat out a little bit further, just to try and like get a bit more of it. I mean, I've got a 30-pound weight cap to try and reach.
Right.
It's
you know what though? You're at the age right now where you're going to start putting on the most muscle. I mean, you think you gained a lot of muscle in the beginning. 25 to 28 years old is I think the prime growth years, because your metabolism slows down a little bit. We've talked about this before, and I just feel most people put on a lot of their size during those years. And so, like I said,
always found 25 to even early 25 to 32ish, even in between there is when you.
Yeah, especially if you stay healthy. A lot of guys sometimes start getting injuries in their 30s, but if you can make it to like that 30 mark, you can put a lot of muscle.
Try and retire while you're young, because once you get over 50, look at Dave, it's all fucking downhill.
It goes downhill fast when you get to 50, Lee. You're going to be experiencing that in the next couple of weeks, because you just turned 50.
Hey, what do you mean? What do you mean, Dave?
Stop hiding that right side.
My feet are still good.
There we go.
Yeah.
No, the goal is with competing itself, doing the off season that we're going to do right now. Like you said, prioritize your health and get out while you're young, kind of thing. I imagine in my mind right now, depending on what happens with how we develop the physique and what kind of shows we are competing in over the years to come, I imagine right now the next 5 years of how much is what I'll be willing to dedicate health-wise to bodybuilding. So when I get to 30, 31 is when I'll pull out a little bit, go more into business. I'm very in business now, but I think at that point, when you've been doing it for competing since 19 and then you're 30, you've been doing it for 11 years, you'll probably know at that point if you are going to be like top placing at the Olympia, especially dedicating. And if not, at that point, you need to maybe think, okay, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I'm going to spend the next 10 years, 30 to 40, trying to be Mr. Olympia, or should I take a health standpoint or be smart with my years? And that's the standpoint I'm in right now. Right now, I've got 5 years to push in my mind. and then we'll reevaluate and see where we're at.
And that's a very smart way to take it too. Because I've and Dave, we could probably tell you countless bodybuilders we've seen who try and reach a certain goal and don't get there, and like, oh, maybe another 5 years, and they keep pushing it when, you know, no matter how hard they push it, no matter how many drugs they take, they're not getting any further in that pro career. They're just spending money, spinning the wheels, probably doing health damages. So it's always smart to have that realistic goal and know, hey, you know, if I can't make it this further, let me look for other aspects, whether it be business and stuff and that. Because, you know, look at Mr. Palumbo here, for instance, how long he tried to get a pro card. Forever and ever. He just wouldn't give up. And now
you guys just rinse each other. You guys just tear each other apart.
That's our shtick. Yeah. You know what? But I think it leads right in a sense. And I think that what my goal always was, and I think, Lee, you had the same thing. You just went a little longer than me. I always said if I couldn't be better than I was the last time I competed, I would stop. And so when I realized that I had, you know, limitations at this point because I had shoulder pain and I couldn't train the way I wanted, and I couldn't be better than I was the prior year, I just said that's it, and I stopped competing. And you kind of did the same thing. Once you had that accident, you said, well, that's it. You know, I can't be better than I was. You know.
And sadly, some people don't listen to that. They go, oh no, I can do it. I can do it. And you know, they just keep pushing the drugs and pushing this, and their body's breaking down. And then who knows internally what they're doing to themselves, because they think if I just take more gear, I'm going to get back to this useful physique. But it ain't coming back. No. You know, you can still be healthy and maybe look good as a person, but when you're talking about a competitive stage where you want to be competitive up amongst the pros and they're coming through young and fresh, and you're sort of breaking down here like a house of cards, it's time to get out.
Well, that's why Dexter was I think what he did was so special, because he was improving and he was doing better and he was winning shows still. So keep going, right? I mean, that's what he did. I mean, and he really he did it in a way so that he didn't really damage his health. And I think that he when he was decided that's it, he was done. And
one thing we are very conscious of with I don't know if you've heard of the company Pro Coach in the UK, Callum. He runs Pro Coach, and essentially we are very health orientated. We do get blood tests throughout the year, like before prep, after prep. Cool. He's very health stack orientated, so we are very we're on the ball when it comes to that. Like,
do you work with him on that at that coaching business?
No. So I'm a client. Okay. I'm a client right now. We've just become really good friends over the last year.
Do you coach people, or you just do your YouTube thing?
So I don't coach people, no.
Okay. Gotcha.
No, definitely not.
It's smart.
Yeah. So all your income comes from your social media, though?
Yeah, so essentially I have sponsors. So I actually just signed with a supplement company called Huge Supplements, and I'm with, Alphalete, the clothing brand?
Yes.
So the clothing brand, and I have an equipment company too. So I sell lever belts, knee sleeves, wrist straps, all that sort of stuff. So that's the business side of things. But definitely YouTube is where it's the hub. It's where it all came from. It's where all the opportunities came from. And now we're on to the next chapter. Do
you guys get a good check in the UK for a YouTube channel as much as you would if you were, say, in America?
Probably absolutely not. Okay. No, it's not good.
No, because with 700,000 subscribers, you should have a huge YouTube check every month. I think the UK doesn't pay as much. That's what it is.
I think the UK is like Australia. You get taxed through the roof on everything you
do. I can't complain. It's very good. It's very good, but it's not my highest form of income. The main money comes from my business and sponsorships.
That's awesome.
But it is definitely nice. But I had a question, because before we come off the topic of going forward for the off season and health and everything. Sure. With me about to go on to my first off season properly, and after getting the pro card, if you could either give any advice or something to think about going forth onto the off season, what piece of advice would you give me or somebody else about to start an off season? What advice would you give them? You go first, Lee.
Me, well, even though people didn't believe it, my off seasons consisted, well, you've seen my before and after photos back in the day, where I very rarely took gear in the off season. All I did was just eat. And when I say eat, I'd be eating I'd have my chicken and rice meal or steak and vegetables, but in between, say an hour later, I'd have a couple of McDonald's burgers, or I'd go and have this. So my whole day was
I've seen the pictures. It just blows my mind.
He was like Fat Bastard from Austin Powers movie.
Shut up. I was just fluid, you cunt.
It's just walk away.
Yeah, but the thing was, like I said, because you're so structured at contest time, eating at this time and this amount. My off season, I didn't want to have that structure. Yes, I'd have like my main breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but in between, I was more like, a cow just grazing. You go here and eat. An hour later, you go, and that's what I did. I'd eat my main like steak and rice, but then in between, I might have some ice cream and chocolate, and a bit later, chicken and vegetables, and after that, maybe 2 McDonald's hamburgers. So I'd still be eating good meals, but in between that, I'd be just throwing in whatever craving I had with, like I said, little gear, but majority of my off-season was never any gear because I was drinking full cream milk and just blowing out. Like a meal in the off-season might have been a whole barbecue chicken, liter of milk, and half a loaf of bread. So but I was just doing that. But then that's why I found when I come contest time, because I was using, like I said, if I used a bit of gear, it might have been SUS 250, just 2 milligrams. That was it, or maybe a bit of Deca, if nothing at all. But when I took nothing at all and just ate, when it come time to diet, because I switched it up that quick and went to clean food and added the supplements in, my body just responded automatically rather than people that stay on gear all year round and this and that. They try and eat clean all year round. When it comes time to get ready for a show again, their body's like, oh, it's almost like a natural thing we've been doing. So doing the shock type thing, my body just responded that quick and weight dropped easy.
So you'd say overall that the advice would be to not prioritize necessarily pushing gear too much. You'd be prioritizing nutrition and getting in the calories.
More nutrition and just training your ass off. Yeah, because you seem like he's pretty smart. I don't know, but I'm just talking to you now. It's like you seem like you don't have that mentality where, so many people are like, if I'm not taking gear, I can't train hard. If I'm not taking gear, I can't get big. And I said, if you have that mentality, you're fucked to start with, because every time you go to the gym, you're not on gear, you're going to be thinking, oh, why bother going heavy, or why bother doing this? I'm not on gear. It's like, it's all in the fucking head. If you just go to the gym and bust your ass with the food and that, you can grow, you can still make gains. My best lifts of when I squatted 7 plates and did whatever, I wasn't on any gear. I was just fucking eating like a ton of food like a strong man would, and just fucking blasting it in the gym.
Brandon, this is why Lee is the reason why you don't listen to genetic freaks, because Lee.
No, a lot of no, I hate when people say that, because a lot of my friends, I made them do the same thing, and in the off season, their friends would say, "You're a fat cunt. Look how fat you are listening to Lee." Come contest time, they were the most ripped, and they all won their shows. So yes, genetics plays a part,
right?
But also just keeping things basic,
right? But
and not getting into this whole.
You could tell Brandon has a very, very fast metabolism. He probably needs to eat a ridiculously large amount of food, and he probably needs a little. I'm not saying he needs to take a ton of anabolics. He definitely needs anabolics, probably, because his body just won't grow. You'll probably just look ripped and lean all year round if you just did that.
He's still young, Dave. His testosterone level's high. Stop pushing gear on the kid, you fucking enabler. Don't listen to Dave. He's a fucking drug pusher.
No, what I was going to say is what I would really focus on is basic lifts: squat, deadlift, bench, incline bench, presses behind the neck. Put all those basic movements, and that's all you do. Basically, you should train like a power lifter almost, because you need you need to put on base muscle is what you need. You don't need to be doing dumbbell flies and stuff like that. You need to do like a good 3-4 months where you just focus on the basic lifts, and build mass on your body. I think, and whether you use drugs or not, I mean, or diet obviously is very important. Getting enough fat, protein.
But even if you do use a bit in the off season, I mean, like if you're eating a ton of food, you only need very minimal drugs in the off season. I mean, like nothing over even 400 milligrams of test or anything. Because, like I said, you're just pushing that much food in and blasting it. That's why I've always said when you get ready for a show, that's when you worry about the cycles more to keep the muscle, to help you recover more, because you're restricting your calories, you're adding more cardio, and you're probably training more regularly. That's when I relied more on the drugs to maintain the muscle, help me recover more. But off season, because I just ate, trained hard, and plenty of time to rest and sleep, you just grow.
And that's solid advice as well, because if anything, from a health standpoint, from like longevity, not putting drugs on the off season is actually going to be so much better from a recovery standpoint. From like not overly toxifying the body.
I found also, Brandon, I think that if you, like Lee said, I never used orals in the off season because I just couldn't eat on them. They just killed my appetite. I found that like 1,000 milligrams per week base of testosterone was ideal for me with like an anabolic. And at the time, I probably used 300 milligrams of equipoise per week or 400 deca per week. And literally, that was the only drugs. And then I would use like 3 IUs of GH. And I'm telling you, the training and the eating was the most important. Those were just the stimulus. I needed a little bit more testosterone than Lee because I think my body, I was like a little more ectomorphic. My body just wanted to be lean and not put mass on. And whereas his body will put mass on him way more easily. He has to diet harder to lose the fat. But so in that sense, I think I needed a little more anabolic. And I think your metabolism probably looks like it would align itself a little bit more with my metabolism. That's why
Brandon can decide, look, we're both in our 50s. Do you want to look like me or do you want to look like the Crypt Keeper? Got you again.
I definitely think Lee's ability to excrete testosterone was based on like when he would eat maybe a cheeseburger, his body would naturally produce higher.
My theory on Lee is that he has no myostatin in his body. I really believe it. I think he's like he has no myostatin to inhibit muscle gain, so everything he does works better than what other people do. And that's why I legitimately think he's not a liar. He's not a liar. What he tells you is the truth. But I think it wouldn't work for everyone because I think he literally has 0 myostatin in his body.
No, I have 0 brain cells. I have probably a bit of myostatin.
But no, I really do appreciate that. And honestly, like I will say that this moment for me right now is honestly fucking surreal. I will say.
See,
it's absolutely bonkers.
He forgot about the interview, Lee. So I told him his only chances he had to join us together. So it actually worked out better for you because you got now you get to have the fun with Lee and I because I have a couple stories I got to bring up. So you can stay with us here.
He fits in well. He's from the UK. You know, it's like we're all a bunch of cunts, right. English.
Well, you guys are just the criminals from the UK they sent over to Australia, right?
That's right. That's right. They kicked my family out from the UK, and that's.
All right, hold on.
Every time I'm in the UK, they're like, "Oh, Lee, you're a criminal." I said, "Yeah." I just said my family was smart enough to steal a loaf of bread and get the fuck out of here and get to Australia. But actually, I love the UK. Every time I go back there, I love places with history. Just everywhere. What part of the UK do you live in?
Well, I'm from Birmingham, but I live in Brighton right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Birmingham's not bad. Did you train? Where'd you train when you were in Birmingham? Simon's Gym or Dorian's or?
I actually trained at mainly. I've been to all the gyms, Emporium, all the Birmingham-based gyms. I'm from there, so I used to travel around and go to Ultimate Fitness, different ones like that.
Oh yeah.
So I've definitely traveled the UK gym scene, but I'm actually going to be moving back to the West Midlands. The Burton-on-Trent area, which is about 40 minutes from Birmingham, because me and my girlfriend, we're kind of done with Brighton, and my coach, we're actually moving up to live around my coach.
Oh, cool.
For the RT.
Okay. I think when I've been through the Midlands area, because when I used to go to Birmingham, when I used to be with Aaron near Kettering and that, I think I used to drive. You drive up through the Midlands that way, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, right for the middle.
I'm a local. I know.
Yeah, you're local, mate.
It's not like England is very big, Lee. It's like a pea size compared to Australia.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, England's like this big. Australia's got the landmass of USA, but England has a population. I think Australia now are up to 26 million in the whole of Australia.
That's crazy.
I'm sure UK has way more people than what we have in the whole of Australia.
Absolutely,
it's very saturated.
Yeah. All right, let's do some. We got to do some raging because this is Iron Rage. So pull up. Pull up the first story about the.
And don't forget the Fozzie company, Dave. I got my things.
Oh, you got your Fozzie shirt on, yeah. How come you got a green one and they sent me that other one? I guess I asked for blue, so they sent me blue.
Because you suck. So don't forget the FozzieCompany.com. Or some of the proceeds all go to the non-kill animal shelters. So if you buy any T-shirts or hats or these fans, or you can use it for a cock ring when you're not dieting, you can the FozzieCompany.com.
Lee, I use it for occlusion training. I do occlusion training with that.
Oh yeah, hold on. I'm just gonna
occlusion training.
Okay, I'm pumped.
Put it on
Ready for stage.
Yeah. Ready to go.
All right, there we go. All right, let me...
what's the first topic?
The first topic is, it actually takes place in the UK. You guys have a new law. There's a new club there. I don't know if you're aware of it. You cannot stare at anyone. If you stare at people there, you get arrested.
Yeah. We've got that here in Australia, too.
That's what I'm talking about, the Australian club.
Yeah, staring is now
Well,
a
that's not
social
the that's
blunder
not the
in the
UK, you
land
idiot.
down
No, I meant to say
under.
Australia. Sorry.
Club 77
Club
nightclub in
77.
Sydney, Australia,
Yeah.
named after the number of women Will Kane once made out with in one night. Club
Basically,
77 has
they've banned staring, Lee. What do you think about that?
Yeah. When I heard on the news here, it was about a week or two ago, it was on the news here. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what's the stare? Look, I guess you can, look. But it's like, if you just glance, it's like, there's a glance, there's a look. And then if you look too long, it's like, well, that's a stare. But it's like, would she have to be staring at you to know you're staring at her? So who's breaking the staring
According
rule?
to the law, according to the club, you have to ask permission to stare at a girl.
Yeah.
So
I heard that you got to get permission. So I guess if you go in like me dressed as a bum, he's staring. But if I pull up in a Ferrari and a suit, the titties come out a bit more and keep looking, baby. I'm going home in that Ferrari.
You know, this must be absolutely baffling for like, obviously coming from like different eras and stuff, like seeing how the world is changing in such a in a crazy way with like all the equality. That's great and all, but like all of these like different genders and all these things that people like feel like they have to have or to survive, or that, you know, their identification in society. You can't be male or female anymore. You have to be everything else. Like, it must be mad to hear like what. Well,
you're 25. Do you feel like sometimes you have to wake up and tell people that you feel like a woman today? Otherwise, you won't fit in with society. I mean,
it definitely feels like you have to justify so much more now. Otherwise, you're going to offend someone.
You just wake up and go, today I'm gender fluid. It's like, but they're not going to get the whole, like the staring thing. It's like, I don't mean to stare, but even at the gym sometimes it's like, yeah, look, anyone should be able to wear what they want, but sometimes at clubs and even in the gym, some of the stuff they wear, you're like, oh Jesus. It's like, I see camel toe, I see nipples always sticking out. I'm like, if I walked around a nightclub with just tights on and I wasn't dieting and my nuts were back and stuff, and you had your schlong hanging down your leg, they would stare. So it's like,
well, Lee, if you walked in with a tank top on, people are going to stare at you because look at the size of your arms, right?
But the thing is, though, these women, they do themselves up to look beautiful, to go out. They put the nicest dresses on. It's like they want some sort of recognition and attention. Granted, as long as it's not disrespectful or you're not rude, but they're getting done up to go out to feel good. And actually, the same story that same day now, there's a woman started a movement here where now you can be getting tickets and you're arrested for wolf whistling, because she started a movement now similar to BLM where, you know, if a woman's walking past a construction site and men wolf whistle at them, they can be fined and actually be given tickets and go to jail because it's some sort of harassment. She's starting this whole thing now where men can't even wolf whistle, and some women are like, wait a minute, I like walking down the street. The guy she goes, it makes me feel good about myself, like I still got it. Yeah. But oh no, this woman started, and let me tell you, she's a big, fat, ugly bitch. She'll never get wolf whistled at. So I was like, as she walks down the street, she'll get moo, moo. So it's like,
this is hilarious.
Yeah, because but now they've got this whole movement to stop wolf whistling. You can't whistle at them anymore. So
I feel like as a society, we've just lost so much freedom in a way. Like, you know, yes, it's inappropriate to wolf whistle, and should you do it or not, you know, that's granted to whatever like you kind of person you are. But like, the fact that you should be disciplined for that is just fucked. It's just.
But how many times, even when you're in shape, sometimes women come and look at us, or then you've probably got to. You could be out somewhere. I couldn't count the amount of times I just walked somewhere and a woman would grab my chest or grab my arm and have a feel. I'm like, you know, it didn't bother me, but I'm thinking now.
And you're allowed to look like obviously, like I'm 2 days post show and I got one off planned night. So I was like pumped to the gills today's chest workout. My tits were bigger than most girls in the gym. And people were looking, but it's like, it's compliment. It's like they look at you. They're not like, oh, like, or maybe they were thinking like, what a prick in his fucking big white tank top.
You know, I know, it's just crazy because, like I said, I get grabbed. You know, I get people grabbing my arms and chest all the time. But if I did that to a woman, if I said, "Oh, nice boobie," and gave her chest a squeeze, I'd be, I'm arrested.
But you know what I noticed, Lee? It seems like Australia has all these fucking wacky fucking laws and it's crazy restrictions. Why? What's wrong with what's going on over there? You guys were supposed to be like the most like progressive, and now you guys are like, there's so many restrictions.
We were very like, when I lived in America,
You sure the Pilgrims didn't land in Australia instead of America? A lot of
when I lived in America, when all that PC bullshit started coming out, if you made a joke, it was offensive. Someone would get offended or it was racist. And I said, oh man, I can't wait to get home, because in Australia, we're just like the larrikins, similar to the UK. You don't give a fuck.
No, I know. That's why I don't know what's going on there, you guys.
I couldn't wait to get home. And as soon as I got home, I'm like, fuck, this is worse than America. People here are getting so sensitive. It's like,
What's the other story I wanted to pull up?
Let's find out.
Yeah, I have one more thing I wanted to bring up.
I don't forget, too, I wanted to just say I sent you that photo of Philip Carlin, the guy I competed with that passed away.
Oh, yeah, put that. Oh, yeah. I didn't pull it up. Can you show it to us?
It's on my phone. I can't show it to you.
Hold on. Let me send it to Tyler. Hold on.
You can keep it for the last story anyway. Then he passed
right.
away of a heart attack. I competed with him. Nice guy. Just wanted to send condolences to his family. He is from the UK. He was from Wigan in the UK, Philip Carlin.
Mm-hmm.
He competed with me.
Do you know him?
Only from the PDO contest or that. Yeah.
You know him, Brandon, at all? You know who he's talking about?
No, I don't. Sadly not. And that's the thing. It's like, when you go through life and you're doing one thing with your life and you lose touch with people that you used to know or people that you went to school with or anything, like, there's so many paths of life, but it is always, no matter how much time you spend away from these people, whether it be 10, 20, 30 years, when something bad happens, it's like you always feel it, because you never know when it's going to happen to you or, someone that you love or are really close to. So like it doesn't, the distance doesn't matter. When you've experienced, when you've been on stage with someone, it's like you shared something with them.
Yeah. But that's like the funniest thing. I was talking about the other day. I used to date this girl in America for a year or two. Beautiful girl. She joined the police force and that. And I hadn't, once I left America, I hadn't spoken to her for 15 years or more. She'd moved on, got married, had a kid, separated. And then one of my friends told me, oh, did you hear what happened to Laura Donna? I said, no, what? And they're like, oh, her ex come around and just stabbed her and murdered her. I was like, oh, even though I hadn't seen her or spoke to her for this many years, just thinking back to when we dated and went out, the thing that her life ended that way was just like this weirdest feeling, that, she was stabbed to death. It's just like, oh, crazy, because...
Now, Lee, explain who this is. Put the picture up
there. Philip Carlin from Wigan, UK, sadly passed away from a heart attack.
When was that? Recently?
Recently, yeah. Haven't got the thing. One of his on Instagram sent it to me because he was a big fan of mine. Philip was, and that, and we competed together. And he just wanted to let me know. But yes, still way too young. I think he was probably, I don't know his age. I'd probably say he was in his 40s, maybe 50s.
Very sad. Very sad. Well, we'll send our condolences and prayers out to his family, of course, and his friends. And
absolutely,
we don't like to hear that. Now, one more story before we wrap this thing up. I've seen this girl before. She's from, I think, Korea. And have you seen how big this girl is, Lee? I forget her name.
Korea?
Yeah. Pull her picture up.
Look, we were speaking about the off season before. I need to ask her what she's doing.
You should train with her, Brandon. Forget about it. You're on social media. We go through look at those legs.
This is absolutely ginormous.
See what other, she's got some other pictures on her Instagram if you could find it. I don't know if you can find her Instagram.
She has a 40-inch circumference of a quad.
That's crazy.
I was going to say, a lot of Korean men have good quads and calves, and she's like...
you gotta log
She's eating a lot of Korean wings.
Can you zoom in on that tights picture, because with today's age, I just want to make sure this is a female.
I think she's definitely a girl.
She looks great. She looks great in shape. Look at her.
Yeah. She's got a really good physique. She's probably the biggest Asian female I've seen. Right? I mean, I don't know any other.
Is she professional or?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is she professional?
She's a woman that identifies as a tree trunk.
Look at those look at the lower teardrops, how big they are. Those are crazy. But
isn't it funny though? I've known a lot of Koreans that have great legs though, even like the men, the quads and the calves. And
what was that guy's name from who was in Venice? Bingo or something like that was his name?
Yeah.
He was Korean, right?
Yeah, and his son too, remember? Who competed.
Yeah. Hi, well, come all of a sudden we have to sign in. Instagram.
You know why it is? I think it's because I, like me too, being like the Koreans and myself are so short. When we reach for stuff, we've got to go on the balls of our toes. That's how you get good calves. High reps, see? It's all, you tall people just stand there and go like this. That's why you don't have good calves. We've always got to keep reaching.
That's right. There you go. Lee figured it out. It could be the fact that your lower leg bone is probably only about this tall too. So, so you have to make up for it with muscle. That's all.
I mean, did you say whether I didn't hear you say was she professional or not?
I don't know. Did she have IFBB Pro on her Instagram?
Yeah, I saw a picture. I saw a picture with her with a pro card. I think she is.
Okay. I'd like to see her on the pro stage. See how she does. Women's bodybuilding. She'd kill it, man.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Did they still have that, Dave?
Yeah, I don't even know, but they have it at the Olympia. Thank God for Jake Wood because he
well, like
that.
we said, with today's climate, I see a 212 contender right there.
You never know. You never know. All right, well, Brandon, I want to just thank you for joining us today. Congratulations on winning that pro card, and best of luck. What do you get? You said France you're going to be be Yamamoto?
Yes, Yamamoto.
It's 23 days away, and
yeah, I was going to say it's only like 3 weeks away, isn't it? Yeah,
it is indeed. I'm very excited.
Best of luck there, man.
It's a shame you couldn't get into Arnold UK because that's only like a week later, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a week before, and
a week before.
I've been trying because only reason being is because
Lee's got terrible connections over there. Don't ask him for help.
Yeah, all right.
Don't mention my name if you're trying to get in it. Okay, Dave, do not put this video up before he competes. For God's sakes, I don't want to destroy another career. I destroyed Dean Lacey, but he couldn't get his pro card in England, so I don't want to destroy anybody else.
Don't worry. But no, the France one is the one that's definitely on the cards. But I do want to say thank you so much for having me. The invite has been
absolutely
kind of crazy for me because I've been watching your videos for a long time, and Lee, I've been a fan of of course, as everyone has done, watched millions of minutes of your motivational videos and your previous training in your early years, and it is great to have a conversation with you finally, and yeah, it really is.
Thank you. Send me some of your followers, can you? Because Instagram deleted my account. Just send me a tenth of what you got.
Yeah, we'll take if you can send us 20% of your followers, that would be fucking
You're greedy. I only asked for 10%, Dave.
I want 20%. You know, Lee, you know that I take everyone's money. You know that. Every person who works for us, I take all your money. I only give you 1% to live on.
Money, you're a criminal, you're self-fake. Jesus Christ, why do I come on this show?
I'm a serpent. I'm a snake. You know that.
That's right, a snake. Yes, Dave the snake.
Right. Yeah.
I've vlogged the whole thing. So when is this going to go live, by the way? When am I allowed to post?
This will be up probably Thursday. Usually we have to let it wait a day because what happens is that every time the YouTube people hear the word or see the word Lee Priest, it goes under review automatically, the video. So
oh my God.
It takes at least 24 hours to actually be approved for viewing purposes.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think you and Valentino are on a very short list on YouTube there.
Well, it is that, but I even said the word I've seen other people used to say the word fool, right? I said the word fool on Instagram the other day, and I got a warning for the word fool. So now I've got to space it out. F O-O-L.
Exactly.
I'm like, why am I getting the warning for fool? And other people have said worse things. And it's like I even said, when that Bali bombing thing happened and they let the guy out of jail now for killing 200 people, I said he should have got the death penalty. This is inciting harassment and physical harm. I'm like, what? A guy blew up 200 people. I said he should have got the death penalty, and now I'm getting the warning. I think I am on the shit list there somewhere.
I did something a lot less harmful, right? So I posted a transformation picture. I put a little chimp and then an arrow and then a big gorilla, and I got taken down for racism.
Oh my God. Holy mackerel.
And can you believe that? Like,
I
it's
can believe
an emoji.
I can believe you can't even say the word racist we had a show where we talked about this a racist diet because this black woman was carrying on about the fact that she thought
I watched the video.
Black women can't lose weight on the same diet that white women do. So I wrote racist diet in the title, demonetized.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Well, I know that picture you're talking about with the chip in it. I posted the same thing and said, look at Kamala's makeover, and I got in trouble for it.
The video was doing so well until at this point.
Edit that bit out. Edit that bit out because you're going to get
We don't edit
monetized for
anything
sure.
on this show here. We're too lazy. Brandon, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the pro card. Good luck in 3 weeks. That's going to do it for
Good
today
luck.
here at After Hours, Iron Rage, Heavy Muscle Radio.
Iron Rage.
We don't even know what show we're doing anymore, but they're all great. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit that like button, turn on those notifications, and guess what? Maybe Lee and I will be back again next week. And don't forget to check out thefozzycompany.com. I'm Dave Palumbo. We'll see you next week.
I'll be back. Dave won't.
I might not be. I'm going to be in surgery next week or the week after.